Everyone, and I want to say a special welcome to our visiting friends, and I pray that as we go through our health presentations that you would find them very useful and you would be able to implement most of our information into your lives. Tonight, as Brother Doe said, the presentation should have been done by our very own Chief Medical Officer, but she was called away on work duty, so I am filling in for her this evening. And tonight, my topic is entitled Liquids, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Now, liquids are very, very important to our body. As a matter of fact, our body is made up mostly of liquid. And in order for us to maintain this liquid in our body, we have to keep ingesting liquids. However, not all liquids are made equal, and that's what we're going to be looking at this evening. So first, we'll take a look at the good. What is it? Water. Did you know that your body is made up of 70% water? And that water is distributed throughout the body. Your eyes are made up of 95% water. Your heart, 75% water. Your blood, 94%. Kidneys, 83%. Your brain, 83%. Lungs, 95%. And your muscles are made up of 75% water. So you realize that water is very important to the body. As a matter of fact, it is the most important liquid for sustaining human life. It forms the basis of our digestive juices, our urine, perspiration, and it's also contained in our fats and bones. However, our body does not store water. As a matter of fact, we lose water on a daily basis through our lungs as we breathe, through our skin as we perspire, and through our excretory waste such as urine and feces. And the amount of water that we need to ingest is dependent on our body size, how fast we're able to metabolize our food, the different foods that we eat, the weather, and also our activity levels. Now, where do we get our water? A very small amount of the water that we get actually comes from the food as we metabolize our food. Water is actually produced as a waste or byproduct of the chemical reactions that happen in our body. And then about a third of our water comes from the food that we eat. As a matter of fact, water is found mainly in our fruits and our vegetables. And I'm talking about things like watermelon, cucumbers, tomatoes, celery. These are these are foods that are very high in water content. And then 2/3 of the water comes from liquids that we ingest. So our plain water, our fruit juices, and sad to say, even the sodas that we drink. Now, what are some of the benefits of water? One, water moistens our tissues such as our mouth, our eyes, and our nose. And I know many of you have had dry eyes before, or even dry nose, and you know how uncomfortable that can feel. And so having enough water, or taking in enough water, can help to moisten these areas. It also helps to regulate our body temperature. As a matter of fact, that's a very unique thing about the human body, in that our bodies actually have an ability to regulate itself. So for example, whenever we are feeling very hot, what do? We perspire. Yes, we do drink water, that is true. But mostly we perspire. And when we perspire and that perspiration evaporates, how do you feel? You feel cool. And that is just one of the ways that our body regulates its temperature. It also protects our body organs and tissues. It lubricates our joints. It helps to dissolve minerals and nutrients by making them accessible to the body. Sorry, seems as though my pointer got stuck. Yes, it flushes out waste products from the liver and the kidneys. It also helps to prevent constipation. And I want to take just a minute on this. Remember I said that our body regulates itself. Whenever we do not have or we do not take in enough water, our body will find somewhere to take that water from. And one of the first places it goes to is the intestines. Any liquid that is found in the intestines is reabsorbed back into the system for the body to use. Now when that water is being reabsorbed into the system, it leaves your feces what? Dry and hard. And that is where our constipation comes from most of the times. It also carries nutrients and oxygen to our cells, and it moisturizes the skin to maintain its texture and appearance. Now, there is a certain amount of water that we should take in on a daily basis. Recommended water intake varies as we get older, but I want us to take note of these two areas at the top. Our infants, 0 to 6 months, their water should come mainly from breast milk. Very, very important. Also, 7 to 12 months, their water should come from breast milk, formula, or other foods. But I want you to take a note of what is here. What do we have here? Sugar-free drinks. As much as possible, we should avoid giving our infants drinks that contain sugar. We'll speak more about that. And then as we get older, our intake of water will continue to increase. Now, of course, some individuals need more or less water depending on a number of different situations. For example, if you're a very sedentary person, you don't move around a lot, you're not very active, then you're not losing as much water. And so you don't have to take in as much. If you're living in a very cold environment, there's also no need for you to be ingesting as much water as someone who would live in a warmer or hotter environment. Persons who eat high water content foods, so lots of fruits and vegetables, also do not need to take in as much water. But most important, if you're an individual who is suffering from kidney disease or kidney failure, then you should always limit your water intake, because your kidneys will not be able to handle the amount of water that you're taking in, and it could actually cause a burden on those kidneys. And of course, okay, I'm having a bit of problem with my... Yes, and of course, more water is needed if you have a high fiber diet. If you're a woman who is pregnant or breastfeeding, you should increase your water intake. If you've had vomiting or diarrhea, again, your water intake should increase. If you're very physically active or live in a very warm or hot environment, then your water intake should increase. Now, how do we measure adequate water intake? I like to say, let the bowl speak. What do I mean by that? Simply, by using a urine chart, we can actually determine whether or not we are ingesting enough water. If your color is anywhere between 1 to 3, then we say that you are adequately drinking enough water. But as you approach 3, we would encourage you to drink at least 1 or 2 extra glasses of water. Anything below the red line, you are considered dehydrated. And that means that you need to start considering increasing your water intake significantly. But I want to take just a little bit of time to speak about 6 and 7. These two colors are very dangerous. And anyone who would see their urine in this area would have to be very, very careful. As a matter of fact, these two colors may indicate that you're suffering from either kidney failure, or there may be blood or some other condition that is going on, and it is recommended that you see your physician. So you have to be very, very mindful of the color of your urine. And don't be afraid to look in the bowl, ladies and gentlemen. Right. It's yours. You are the one who put it there, so you can look at it. All right? Now, what is dehydration? Dehydration occurs when you lose too much liquid, when you lose more liquid than you take in, basically. Now, it's very easy to reverse mild to moderate dehydration by simply increasing the water intake. But when your dehydration is severe, then is when you would require medical attention. Now, what are some of the signs and symptoms of dehydration? Thirst, headaches, lack of energy, that's lethargy, mood changes, dark urine, tiredness, even confusion and hallucinations. But with all of that said, I want you to take note of this statement. Can you read it for me? Do you understand what that means? If we wait until we are thirsty to drink water, then we are already dehydrated. We should be ingesting water on a regular basis so that thirst does not come on. So, my advice, drink up. Here are some examples of water plans that you can use. 2 glasses of water on waking actually helps to activate the internal organs. 1 glass of water 30 minutes before meals helps with digestion. A glass of water before taking a bath helps to lower blood pressure. And 1 glass of water before bed helps to avoid stroke and heart attack. Yeah. Another example, practice in the morning, just taking the juice of half a lemon in a cup of water, and this helps to boost the metabolism during the day. And finally, for those of us, and I say us because I do have that problem sometimes of drinking water, you can actually infuse your water with a number of different substances that can help to make the water taste better. So cucumbers, ginger, berries, fresh mint, and lime, as I said, can actually help, and you can mix and match them however you feel, and these could actually help to, make the water taste less plain so that you're able to drink it. Now, water can also be used for healing. As a matter of fact, water used therapeutically is called hydrotherapy. That's one of the modalities that I studied in my naturopathic medicine studies. Hydrotherapy may involve the application of water to the whole body or the moving and exercising in water. So some of the modes include cold mitten friction, that's just taking a cold mitten and rubbing it up and down the body, that helps to improve circulation. Hot foot baths, heat compresses, or hot and cold alternating compresses, and water treading or exercising. Usually hydrotherapy works best for muscle aches and pains, bruises, and it also aids in improving circulation. So there we have water. Now let's move on to the bad. What do we have here? Sugar-sweetened beverages. Now, sugar-sweetened beverages are any liquids that have been sweetened by adding sugar to it. And sugar, added sugar can come in many different forms. You could use raw cane sugar, could be a corn sweetener, corn syrup. You've heard of high fructose corn syrup before. These are all sweeteners that can be added to our liquids so that they're more pleasing to the taste. However, some of our sugar sweetened beverages, you have your sodas, your fruit juices or fruit drinks, your sports drinks, your energy drinks, and even your coffee and teas, because some of us, we like our teas. Even though we say we're drinking healthy and we're using our herbal and bush tea, we still like to heap in the 3 tablespoons of sugar to make our herbal tea taste the way we want it. Yes, Pastor, to taste nice. All right? Now, let's look at the recommended daily intake of water. Again, as you get older, your recommended daily intake of sugar increases, because sugar, yes, we need it. We need it for energy. It helps to produce energy so that we are able to do work during the day. But if we take in too much, then it will cause a problem. Okay? So, women, 60 spoons a day, men 90 spoons a day is the recommended amount. Now, I want you to notice, however, that though the recommended amounts are 6 and 9 for men and women, most of our drinks that we ingest contain much more than those recommended amounts. Do you realize that? And it's surprising to note that one of the healthier drinks that we consider, our fruit juices, actually contain more sugar than even our sodas and our energy drinks. And I want us to take that into consideration, because although the fruit juices have the natural sugars from the fruits, we find that a lot of the companies still add sugar to them in order to enhance the taste. Okay? So therefore, if we consider in a day, if someone has a fruit juice in the morning for breakfast, and then maybe feel a little better in the evening and say we're going to have some vitamin water, and then say, okay, I'll have a soda, you know, if just there's only one soda for the day, I'm doing okay. That individual would have taken in at least 28 teaspoons of water, of sugar in that day, which is close to 4 or 5 times more sugar than is recommended for the one day. I want us to take that into consideration. Very, very important. Now, why do I have this graph here? And I realize you can't really see it very well, so I'll try and explain it. There was a study conducted of our students in 2011. 1,740 of our students went through this survey, and we found that about 32% of our children were in the area of being obese. My point isn't working. And then we had, of overweight, sorry. We had a smaller percentage of our children who were actually obese, 14 for boys and 12 for girls. However, this last column that you see towering over the others, this column is the number of students, or the percentage of students who indicated that they drank at least 1 soda per day for 30 days. Within the last month, these students had at least 1 soda per day. We're talking about 63% for our boys and 59% for our girls. And I have seen it for myself on a regular basis, students walking up the road, walking to school in the morning with a soda in their hand. This is something that we really, really need to consider. What are some of the effects of sugar-sweetened beverages on the body? The sugar or the acid levels in sugary drinks can actually cause tooth decay. The higher sugar intake increases your risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Sugary drinks can reduce bone density and actually lead to osteoporosis. Rapid blood sugar spikes after drinking sugary drinks can increase hunger and overeating. One sugary drink a day increases your risk of type 2 diabetes by 22%. And then, one sugary drink a day can lead to as much as 14 pounds of weight added in a year. 14 extra pounds. I hear some people giggling. I hope you're not taking in that. Being overweight or obese can put you in a greater risk of heart disease, kidney disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, and some cancers. And I want to take a minute to talk to you about sugar and cancer. As a matter of fact, researchers have now found a link that indicates that the amount of sugar in the system actually increases the insulin uptake of cancer cells. Now, what does that mean? I'll just try to explain that quickly. The normal cell, if you think of insulin receptors on the cell as doorways, a normal cell has a number of doorways that allow sugar to get into the cell and the cell can function. However, a cancer cell has more insulin doorways on its periphery, and that allows more sugar to enter those cancer cells, and then those cancer cells are able to reproduce more rapidly. So although there's no link to say that sugar causes cancer, it can actually increase the effect of cancer in the body. And then finally, we have the ugly, alcohol. Alcohol is a drug. It's classed as a depressant, meaning that it slows down vital functions. So you have slurred speech, unsteady movement, disturbed perceptions, and an inability to react quickly. As for the mind, alcohol reduces a person's ability to think rationally and distorts his or her judgment. Now, of course, there are different types of alcohol. I don't need to go through each one of them. I'm sure we are all familiar with them. Now, when alcohol enters the body, it is actually metabolized by the liver. And in some cases, if we ingest too much alcohol, the liver is unable to metabolize it and to break it down. And so what you have happening is more alcohol is being circulated in the bloodstream, and then this can cause more problems. What are some of the health issues that are caused by alcohol? Stroke, heart disease, liver disease and cirrhosis, depression and anxiety, cancer of the mouth and the throat and the esophagus, harm to unborn babies, reduced fertility, and high blood pressure. Yes, Pastor, reduced fertility. Okay? Now, some persons may say, I only drink on the weekends. That shouldn't be so bad. Now, regular drinking has been linked to cause harm to the body. But research is now showing that one-off, or what we call binge drinking, can also have very dangerous effects. As a matter of fact, more road accidents, fatalities, domestic violence, even alcohol poisoning. We find that these are usually occurring more for individuals who carry out binge drinking as opposed to individuals who drink alcohol on a regular basis. And again, I'm sure you've heard of this one. A little alcohol is good for you. Well, the answer to that is no. As a matter of fact, the World Health Organization recommends that people should not commence or maintain drinking to achieve health benefits. No such thing. Studies suggesting the beneficial use of alcohol are all paid for by the alcohol industry in an effort to market their products. Now, some persons might say, well, I've heard about this product, this called resveratrol. It's an antioxidant, and they say you could find it in red wine, and it's good for the body. Yes, resveratrol can be found in red wine, but it can also be found in peanuts, pistachios, grapes, blueberries, cranberries, and even chocolate. So do we need to drink red wine to get resveratrol? The answer is no. If you want to use resveratrol as an antioxidant, simply get it from your food. Or, of course, you can also get it as a supplement. All right? So, my final thoughts. Not all liquids are made equal. Therefore, it is important for us to rethink our drinks. Choose water instead of sugar-sweetened beverages or alcohol. For a quick and inexpensive thirst quencher, you can walk with your water. And I'm sure you see now more and more individuals are taking their water bottles with them to work, on walks, and so forth. Serve water with meals. Make water more exciting by adding your fruits and your cucumbers and so forth to the water. If you have to opt for a sugary beverage, choose one of a smaller size. Don't go for the super-sized ones. Be a role model to your friends and family by choosing healthy, low-calorie, non-alcoholic beverages. And I'd just like to leave a thought with you from one of my favorite authors. In her book, The Ministry of Healing, she says, in health and in sickness, pure water is one of heaven's choicest blessings. Its proper use promotes health. It is the beverage which God provided to quench the thirst of animals and man. Drank freely, it helps to supply the necessities of the system and assist nature to resist disease. Amen. 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 If you would like to find out more information about alcohol especially, most of you, our visitors who registered, would have gotten our handbook, Health and Hope. You can always read this book and you will find out more information about the effects of alcohol in chapter 5 on the body. Now, before I leave, I have a special gift for one of our visitors. If someone can tell me what percentage of our body is made up of water. It has to be a visitor. It has to be a visitor. I see a hand went up down there in a red shirt. The lady in the red shirt, I saw your hand go up. Yes? What percentage of our body is made up of water? Sorry? Very good, 70%. Please come forward. I have a very nice, cute bottle. Thank you so very much. Okay? Do enjoy the rest of your evening.